Twice warned, and yet deeper and deeper you go. Are you sure you'll be able to return home once you've heard the next story of the Paperback Podcast? This is part 3 of The Witch Hunters by Lane McLeod Jackson. Don't forget, you've been warned.
Listen, we've all heard the stories. Loving parents who put their children to bed before some disaster, some unavoidable tsunami, some fate advertised as worse than death. And so, these darling mothers tuck in the little ones, kiss their sweaty foreheads, and watch innocent slumber claim their precious children. Only then does the knife shine, and with tears streaming, these mothers and fathers, I suppose, plunge the blade into their babe's breast. Again, this is allegedly to prevent suffering. And I'm sure it happens. I'm sure it happens even for understandable reasons, but the only actual example I can ever remember in the modern era, and forgive my lack of education, but it centers the Nazis. Not the victims of the Reich, mind you, no, I mean the highest members of the party. Joseph Goebbels and his wife murdered their little girls after supper, but before killing themselves. After all, the Russians were coming. I hate to say it, but I understand. You see, having committed the occasional homicide, I am able to compare situations, and it is hard to feel good when they beg. Their eyes are all wet, offering anything in the world. Pain and panic lodges in your throat. I'm an empath, you see. Suffering really upsets me. But when you approach them asleep in bed, oh, the stories you tell, as their chests rise and fall in peaceful waves. It's better this way. Who wants to see their death coming? It's peaceful. Or, if they're fretting, tossing and turning, the slightest bit of self-delusion can make you feel heroic. I imagine Dr. Goebbels congratulated himself on this last good thing as he murdered Helga, Hilgard, Helmut, Holding, Hedda, and Hedrun. So, as I observe the two sleeping teens who I've quote-unquote rescued, I am filled with shame. I'll have to die defending them in order to avoid self-incrimination. There's that Catholic guilt. What were you thinking? Andromeda hisses as the others surround me. Forgive me, but that, I answer slowly, is kinda obvious. It might be prudent to watch 9 young women burn to death, and I'll even go as far as to agree, but in Andromeda, frankly, this is a bit of a management issue. Giving me that order was never a good idea. The tension shifts slightly. Fury, opportunistic moralizing, and fear still pulse between the guests in my little apartment. But I've added an additional complication. 2 masks turn away so our crone cannot hear the stifled giggles. The department already sifts through the ashes. A gentler voice than Andromeda offers. Josephine. She covets my role as Warlock and resents my position among the living. I admire that these 2 great ambitions of hers are so interlocked. I hear rather than see her grin. They'd already begun looking into the Brandeis family. Must have been the animals. As I predicted, I munch on a cookie. I've only one real defense. My guilt snores over there on the sofa and whimpers also in the armchair. We don't have the luxury of trials. The word of the crone wields life and death, and I disobeyed. Might as well have ignored God or Gaia. The facts condemn me, the circumstances as well, if the department really nipped at our heels. The spirit and the letter of the law all scream for my punishment. But I'm useful, and times are dangerous, so whatever is to be done. Naturally, I mention none of this. To point out these truths is to invite willful disagreement, and suddenly I'm dead just as a lesson to others. One shouldn't overplay their hand, especially with psychotic social climbers on the prowl. What will you do with them? Andromeda's gloved hands twitch, and the pair begin to float. I've walked this realm of dreams since childhood, seen wonders, tasted horror, and faced witches from sea to shining sea. But none I've met wield power like Andromeda. She could flay these two without a drop of blood staining my carpet, or drown them both midair. But she wants to be kind. Kill them now before it's too late, Josephine offers, instinctively stepping forward. She's willing to do the hard jobs. She'd not let a couple of suburban teens get in the way, not if she was Warlock. Wariness sets into our sisters. She speaks too freely at this gathering, is too forward, misses things. But it already is. I pause, allowing her the opportunity for correction, knowing the others see the gesture. She fails, and I continue. If the department already arrived, the bodies weren't there. The benefit, if I may use that word, of their sacrifice from our point of view was it provided a whole story. Cynthia Brandeis driven to wild ecstasy by magic. PTA member murders daughter and 9 others. Whether Cynthia survives or not, this leads the department only towards Mummy Dearest, with no other witch's involvement. But she's dead, and 2 others are missing. The tale of one mad witch no longer makes sense. I have no defense for insubordination, I'll admit, but please don't insult my effectiveness. Maybe I missed something, though. Please explain. How is it not too late? I feel Josephine's resolve, see her palm grip the curved handle of a dagger. The pair's death isn't the goal. My pain is. Those 2 lives are irrelevant. And Andromeda sees it all. Gogo's raspy cough demands attention. Sorry, I should point out that finding new lives for such unfortunate girls, well, we've done this sort of thing before. A few times. Say nothing. I say nothing. Good. No one wants the children to die. Josephine realizes she's no longer among the group. The others have drifted away. She's not friendless, but it does no good to be on the losing side of an argument. Still. But it does not change the truth. Mortimer, our Warlock, the witch who should be keeping us safe, has put the coven in danger. Indeed, I agree. And once I have unearthed this plot against us, I will gladly retire the role or my life, should either be demanded by our crone. Plot? Curiosity creeps into Andromeda's voice, and not a little amusement. From whom? My power lacks the effortless grandeur of our leader. When I flick my wrist, it summons a wind. The gym bag zipper undoes, and the leather tome spills out. The spellbook I had taken from Cynthia Brandeis's death grip. Who gave this book to the mother? If I hadn't returned on my mission of mercy, that thing would have been found by the department, not a relic easily gathered. And since her particular suburban sprawl is located within our territory, the Torch Brigade would eventually come knocking on our door. I cannot smile at the news even as I survive the night. Cynthia's madness, corruption, power, and fall from grace was a feint. We were the target. Can you believe I didn't even have to lie? Not that it would have helped. At least 4 of the women in that room can smell deception. Literally, they say it has kind of a citrusy sharpness, not at all unpleasant. Fortunate, considering the odor is not uncommon in 21st century America. I'd felt something off during the entire Brandeis affair. The demon obviously stuck out, but so did the odd combination of sophisticated enchantment and amateurish presentation. Still, it simply scratched the back of my nerves unnamed until I saw the tome in Cynthia's arms. Too heavy. An eon's worth of sins written in blood bound by human flesh. Or maybe pig. Honestly, I don't know what kind of leather it is, but one sounds far more dramatic. Andromeda, as always, had the wisdom to refrain from touching the book directly. Beloved followers obeyed her unspoken command. Gogo, on the other hand, had to whack a few of her followers as they missed the meaningful glances she cast their way. "Grab the damn children, you moron!" She coughs into her handkerchief as she flashes me a broken grin. "Didn't think you'd survive that one. The kids sure, but you..." I know. There has been a clique in my coven who has wanted me to die since my recruitment. My predecessor and mentor, the Honorable Zelda Brackish, after a few rounds of schnapps, vividly described all the ways she fantasized about killing me. Originally, she wanted it to be slow and painful, skinned alive, or stretched out on the rack. But as time and affection grew, it became more practical. Merely slitting my throat, or a sleeping poison, maybe a gunshot. I'd proven to her that I didn't need to suffer. She poured another shot for us. That was a fun night. My 2 guests still sleep soundly as they're removed from my small home. Better this way. Monica and Carol have suffered, and will continue to do so, but at least they won't be tainted by my association. Covens are selective by nature and deeply distrusting of outsiders. The fact that I'd forced my way in and been honored with an important role, these actions were the height of impunity. But I provide. I am both the innocent child lost in the jungle and his panther guardian, continuously purchasing my own life with blood. In this case, though, the bastards have it coming once I figure out who it is. There are 2 separate knots to be undone, intertwined as they may be. First, which of our beloved neighboring sisterhoods schemed for our slaughter? This leads, of course, to the inevitable follow-up question, who are the souls in the aforementioned neighboring coven? We all have a vested interest in secrecy. Most of our own members don't know each other's names. At least 12 of these witches have stripped me naked. I've saved the lives of 6 others. I lived with 2 for almost a decade, and none but Andromeda know the letters across my birth certificate. On the other hand, I may have picked up somewhere between 2 and 36 names of my fellow witches over the years. I am, after all, very careful, and not all the others are. Hence my position. Hence my duty. Hence the hunt. All of this must be accomplished while a great predator stalks the jungles of our suburban sprawl. The department looks to the example of Alexander when solving such intricate puzzles. They use a sword. My instinct tells me to start immediately. Run, rush, get this done, flee, fight, fuck, do something, damn it. But the training of the Honorable Zelda Brackish demands another course. I check out the apartment to make sure nothing of value is left behind. Anything I cared for would allow a fellow witch to bind or find my soul. Naturally, I never brought such treasures into this place. These hovels exist to be abandoned, which I do. Irina, my current landlord, and I assume the inspiration for Crime and Punishment, will not wait long before throwing out what she does not sell. The next hovel waits 20 minutes away by train. To be sure I am not followed, it takes an hour and a half before those new doors swing open. I lust after the queen mattress, but muscle memory continues to shelter me. I check the windows and make sure my surprises still float unseen, waiting for an intruder. I run my fingers along the carved wood on the inside of the closet. My escape should the worst happen. With a whisper and a flourish of my cloak, a pale imitation of me stands in the corner, ready to take an intruder's first bullets, while I fade into the shadows and relax onto the lounger. Looking carefully, I might be seen, but all we can do is prepare. I click the safety off before placing my gun on the side table. Sleep would be restful but for dreams. Some wonder if the waking world might in fact be the illusion, and our dreams brief glimpses into a truth. This is particularly popular among my friends and foes because magic tends to warp our understanding of the possible. But I've never been tempted by this poor man's philosophy. True, mystic power and her spirits walk the world, bending lowly physic to their slightest inclination. Yes, I'll be honest, it is not the impossibility of nightmares which keeps me grounded to reality, but the impersonal, amoral, uncaring, fickle at best, vindictive at worst forces who dance upon the corpses of the living and dead. In dreams, I matter. Whether fearful, whimsical, erotic, or dull, the universe centers me. Trapped in my own mind by night and forced into irrelevance by day. No, I am not so arrogant as to think the thing I want is how things are. Tonight, the neurons firing agree. I cannot move. I'm back in the small place, the hidden place, the place Mother built. But now I'm not watching her being tortured, the iron poker white hot, no. Now I watch little girls burn. I see Cynthia laughing, nothing to be done. A hiss, followed by a long forked tongue, both caress my ear. I wake. It's almost 10 a.m. I've taken all the time I can risk. An hour later, I'm enjoying the kebab. The man tries not to look me directly in the face, but he's still friendly, so I leave a larger tip than usual. The tunnel to nowhere waits for me ahead. A strange little place in this park, avoided by all but the bravest of children, for we're better to face trolls or teleport through space. A few months ago, one child picked up a stick and pretended to fight me. I played along for a few moments before his parents called him away. No one is here today. Good. Saves me time. The cracks in the bricks wait for me. I simply nod and watch the mortar drip oily black ichor. I happen to know it would feel almost like Nutella before infecting my blood. This almost liquid begins to stretch and wail, bubbling and twisting until the sharp teeth pierce the bubble. Pain must accompany all births, whether beautiful or this. And the rodent features turn towards me.
Morty! Oh, how long have I waited to see those beautiful eyes? Let me help, please. I want to make your life easier.
His throat expands like a toad until it splits open, revealing its second face. This one, covered in viscera, plays at humanity. Smug. What brings the supplicant to seek my eternal wisdom?
Let me help.
I will not engage. Simply ask questions. Creature, before falling into the hands of Cynthia Brandeis, tell me the most recent use of the 4th volume of the Mortaleus. 8 years ago. It waits, wanting me to ask a clarifying question. I don't. Going back a decade from this hour, tell me the names as I know them of the covens who have held sway, influence, or claimed the area around the Brandeis home. My memory is good enough to remember the various titles it rattles off. The Queens, Medusa's Tears, Valentine's. Those are the only surviving groups. But I'll copy down the others as well to be sure.
One more.
The rat squirms above the arrogant smile in the open throat, but I shake my head.
Ask one more.
Turning away, I hear it rip itself to pieces. The ichor will creep back into the cracks, waiting for me one day to become so desperate it can use those teeth on my eyes. To punish man, and I do mean men, beer-guzzling, steak-eating, burping fanatics, those folks, the gods apparently created women. It is shocking to me how many ancient and current religious institutions use this particular line. Even on a lewd, non-gentlemanly level, a world without sundresses strikes me as hell. But I start this cliché refrain to harp on a particular story. Because of his irritation at the invention of cooking or some such thing, Zeus had everyone work together to make the first woman, Pandora. Now, did she get to enjoy her newly formed creation? Oh, heavens, no. Instead, he gave her a box and instructed the newly formed entity never, ever open this parcel. Yet, curiosity cannot be contained, and every conceivable evil just happened to be inside. And once open, it flew, sent to plague humanity for the rest of our days. And to this very hour, we are still haunted. Thankfully, no modern religion has anything that foolish. Care for an apple? But allowing me to transform a noun into a verb, to Pandora, is something specific. In the guise of a gift, a two-faced witch gives some young, untrained youth power beyond their wisdom, knowing they will not be able to control the unleashed magic. Who, though? It had to be someone Cynthia trusted. Someone who taught her some of the basics, maybe? Cynthia lacked understanding, so those would have had to be explained. It's not an easy task. This witch, or witches, have power. Did they try to pitch it as a test? Join us, sacrifice your children, and we'll offer you a place in our coven. But no, I remember the greed in her eyes. Cynthia was screaming, "Mine!" This woman wasn't interested in trying to join a club, so who gave her the book? I glance a gentle smile into the nearby window. The reflection looking back is not my own, but instead the personification of pious sympathy. My ears catch the faint echo of a helicopter. It's holding. Wrong place for traffic. I hear no sirens. I crack open the Diet Coke and drink down the bitter, pretending to be sweet. Breathe. The department won't shoot you in broad daylight unless they think you're running. If I survive, it will be because of Josephine's bloodlust. She had to see me die, had to cast herself in the mirror to look at my face. She was a vulture alerting me to lions. And now I see them. I'm surrounded. Members of the department laughing next to the ice cream truck. A few awkwardly holding hands, pretending to be a happy couple. One psychopath over there. His evil bleeds through his aviators. Well, I wasn't made Warlock for nothing. Let the chase begin.
Hi, I'm LJ Longo.
And I'm Lane McLeod Jackson.
Honey.
And I'm Lane McLeod Jackson.
Tales from the chaotic musings of your hosts, two love-struck creatives. Paperback Podcast unveils bi-monthly stories from an eclectic array of genres.
Here, we come out of our shells on the odd weeks of each month, hopefully to your delight and probably God's scorn.
Welcome and enjoy.